Welcome. Listen to the Ask Brien Radio Show. AskBrien. And for anyone who has never listened to the Ask Brien Radio Show, you're in for a treat. Each week we interview a startup person or an influencer or a CEO of a company, someone that can help you succeed. That's the goal at Ask Brien. It's part of the Ask Brien network, AskBrien. And the question we are constantly asked is why? Why do I have this stuff on my face? No, why? Woo! Well, you can't see that, but I had something on these ear things. Oh, I guess they're trying to do the coronavirus stuff, whatever. Anyway, we have a great show each week, and we have our engineer, and engineer starts with an E. So because of that, that's why we actually came up with the name Ask Brien with an E, just in honor of the engineer. So, Patrick, thank you very much.
Very, very true story, by the way.
But now, for the people that know that we're pulling their leg, why don't you actually tell them what the E in Ask Brien stands for?
So the E stands for a number of things that we associate with Ask Brien. Of the words we have, one of them is empathy. You got to be empathetic.
What does empathy mean?
It means putting...
I only know what narcissism means.
Empathy means when you put yourself in other person's shoes.
So if I'm wearing a size 9, I have to find somebody that wears a size 9 as well? If they wear a size 10 or 8, they won't be able to see me in my shoes? What?
At least they know they won't be able to, live in your shoes.
All right.
May not be the perfect fit, but either way. The another E we have is effort, because everybody here gives more than 100% effort just to make everything look amazing. That's not an E, though. That's an A.
I thought more like an F, like facade, but go ahead.
The other one is my personal favorite one is the engineer, because you can't really run the show without the engineer. Ayo, me.
Thank you for AI coming soon.
No. We have empathy, effort. Well, you know what? We have excellence, because everybody here is amazing and excellent at what they do. I just had to throw in another compliment in there, just so just a little bit. And then let's see, we got excellence, empathy, effort. And we have engineer, and then am I forgetting one more? Experts! There it is. Because you have to be an expert, or it's actually recommended that you're an expert to be on the Ask Brien Radio Show.
What's an expert?
An expert is someone that is got very good experience at doing what they do.
For experiences.
Hey, we added a new one, experience.
We'll see if you remember that next week. But anyway, so for on the Ask Brien network, AskBrien.com, we have two parts to the components. One is where we have a business community where people in the same industry can ask questions. So whether or not you own a fruit stand in Flushing, New York, or own a fruit stand in Boise, Idaho, you might experience the same issues dealing with, my fruit, goes bad. What do you do about it? Okay, that's part of the community aspect of AskBrien.com. And then we have the experts section. And for experts, we require people to have, not required, but it's pretty much a mandatory situation where we have 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours means 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year is 2,000 times 5. If you have 5 years experience in one discipline, then typically you have experience and knowledge that you can actually advise other people. That's what we typically look for. It's not the only requirement. Sometimes there are people that will be let in without under 10,000 hours. But without any further ado, spell ado.
ADIEU.
Because we are a learning business show. Okay. We have our co-host, Traci. DeForge. I don't know what. He's playing a game here with the volume thing. I don't know what he's doing here. He's playing a game.
Hello.
Hey Traci, how you doing?
Traci.
I don't know. He's got his fingers on this volume thing. He's probably gonna raise it really, really loud soon. All right. How you doing, Trace?
I am doing great, and I just want you to know that I'm already bands that you might scream out her name, and I did that hoping that means you won't.
Well, that remains to be seen. You're dealing with a quack, so we'll see what happens.
No, I'm happy to be here. Hello, everybody.
Well, and we're glad to have you here. And by the way, you have that podcast conference. When is that?
So thank you for asking. I'll be speaking at the world's largest podcast conference conference. It is virtual this year. It is October the 19th, and I will be talking about stopping the glorification of busy, how to keep podcasting with passion, and have fun doing it.
That's like a 3-part speaker, so it's probably like, what, 5 hours? You got 2 hours on one, 2 hours on the other, and an hour on the last. It's going to be, you'll be speaking for quite a while. I hope you bring a lot of water with you.
Well, you know, I can't tell a short story, so I'll just take the whole 6 hours to tell what I have to say.
Well, hey, now you're stealing my lines. So now, without any further ado, we're going to bring on, I got to wait for him to take his finger off the edge. He's got his finger on that speaker thing, and as long as it's there, I'm not going to say a word.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know how to say a word. Keren Eldad. Was that the right thing? Because I know, you know.
Hey y'all, yes, I
How you
am.
doing?
I'm Keren Eldad.
Congratulations. You passed the first test, the screamer from Saturday Night Live. And also was in Back to School. Anyway, so the audience doesn't really know your background, and so we'd like to get a quick background. How long have you been in business?
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours. See,
I listen to the pre-spiel. I listen to the pre-spiel. First, I want to say it's a real pleasure to meet you, Brian. It's a real pleasure to meet you, Patrick. And it's wonderful to see you, quote unquote, Traci, my dear, dear friend. My name, though, sounds unfortunate, like the Keren meme at the moment, is actually spelled with 2 E's. So I really appreciated the pre-spiel on all the E's significance. But, yeah, I've been in business for more than 5 years now, so I guess that places me in the success herd. And I'm a master coach, motivational speaker, podcaster, like y'all, based in Austin, Texas, and New York City. And it's a pleasure to be here.
well, first of all, before we go any further, you know, to be based in Austin, Texas, and New York City, that's quite a thing right there. I mean, typically, we consider New Yorkers, and by myself, I am a New Yorker growing up in Long Island, voting for my Islanders, as Traci knows, and and then going all the way to Texas. I mean, you know, that's like the commercial with picante sauce, you know.
I know, but my husband calls it the Brooklyn of the South, and that is actually the jive here in Austin, so we're not really in Texas, you know?
Well, it is the intellectual capital of Texas, and I'm sure I'm going to be getting 10,000 negative comments about that, except for people from Austin, but let's not go there. I'm going to direct all those comments to the engineer, Patrick. And Patrick, what's your email address over here at KHTS? Patrick, engineer at KHTS. Well, anyone that wants to have any comment
secret's
about
out.
But anyway, so you're a coach right now. How did you get into coaching? What was your background? You didn't just become one day a coach. You had to do other things in your past. So let's go briefly over your history, not too long, but maybe 2 or 3 minutes over your background before you became a coach.
Sure, with huge pleasure. I don't actually know that that all coaches come from different industries, but before this life, I was a C-suite executive. I was a top-level executive, usually with luxury companies, and that's what I did. Primarily, I did marketing for luxury and fashion companies. And one day, my life collapsed in a giant heap of, well, I suppose a string of bad decisions, from a divorce to quitting my job to making a whole bunch of things change. And this is when I came to the world of coaching. I never set out to become a world-class coach. I just read about 400 books and attended a lot of Tony Robbins-style seminars, discovering not only how to change my life, which I did, but also how to do this. And that's when the calling sort of appeared. And I started this business, and it's been going very well ever since.
So you just started out as a coach? You didn't have a background in another business?
Yes, I did, and I just told you about it. I used
Well,
to
you
be
said
a C-suite.
Okay, but not everybody knows
Yeah.
what C-suite means.
Oh, yeah, a C-level or a top-level executive in a luxury or publishing company. That was my background before this, and I did that for 15 years.
And was it all technological or what?
No, primarily luxury, fashion, publishing.
And so were you a content writer as well?
Well, to some extent, I suppose, but really much more marketing focused, which has certainly come in handy, but it's not what I do today.
What is the name of your company?
With Enthusiasm Coaching. There's another E for you.
Well, he's got to mark this down.
E for enthusiasm.
We have enthusiasm and experience. So enthusiasm and experience will be added on, and we will be testing the blank out of our co-host and also our engineer. So they will have to have those there. So who's your ideal client?
My ideal client is
Someone has
superstar,
money.
really. My ideal client, aside from Brian, is a superstar, is a person who's intense, who's focused, who basically has crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's in their life, but they're feeling somewhat dissatisfied. They're feeling unclear. They want to really hone in on their purpose and reach the next level of high potential. That's an ideal executive coaching client.
And without giving all your secrets away, what is the one thing that somebody can do to be more focused and more attuned to obtaining that goal?
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to my girl Traci for saying stop being so busy. And no, I really mean it, because if you really want to take your game to the next level, the first thing and the best thing you can do is start to relax. Find relaxation, find mindfulness any time in your day. That's definitely going to change your game.
So meditation. Okay.
Yes, relaxation of any form.
Well, I don't know if people know this, but my sister, I was 8 years old, she was 18, and I was doing transcendental meditation way back in the, I'll call it in the 70s, okay? And so I learned transcendental meditation.
Really? I did not know that. You would never know that, actually.
Because I'm not an expert on Ask Brien for transcendental meditation.
Wow, that's amazing. That's truly inspiring.
Well, thanks. So where do you get your clients? How do you find your clients?
Well, my business has been primarily a referral business, so most clients drag 3 more. And I also work with several business companies, so like Fortune 500 companies or Luxottica, LVMH, etc. And then they essentially just rehire you, so the book of business just grows, which is very fortunate.
And how many years ago did you start? You said you had 10,000 hours, so it's at least that.
Well, technically, I started this company in 2013, so it's 7 years now.
That's a very good base. And how did you get your first client?
I put out an email based on all my LinkedIn contacts, feeling out, really just saying I'm about to launch a program for coaching. If you'd like to hear about it, please contact me. And friends from my actual LinkedIn contact list were my first clients.
Wow, that's very, very good. We have about 4 minutes before our break, and Traci had a couple of questions, so you're on.
I thought you'd never let me get a word in edgewise. Hey, Keren.
Hey,
Well, I'm going to
Traci.
talk for the next 4 minutes, but go ahead.
So I would love for you to share a little bit of a different perspective from your background, because one of my favorite things about who you are today and some of the things that you shared with me is you were even in the Army, right?
Yes,
Israeli
that's right.
Army?
Yes.
And what
That is
did
correct.
that experience do for you, and how did you evolve from that into the person that you are? Like, what did you carry with you from that experience?
I really appreciate that question, and I'd like to dedicate the answer to absolutely anybody who's been in the military or is serving in the military, or the U.S. or Israel right now. And that is, I believe that the Army, any Army experience, any service to your country teaches you the number one leadership skill, and that is humility. I know a lot of coaches talk about perseverance, and I don't believe that. It's humility. It's learning to accept things, learning to work within a team, and learning to do something for some entity that is bigger than yourself. And for me, my country, Today, I'm a naturalized citizen. The United States is certainly bigger than myself, and it's an honor to serve. And that mindset has carried over with me for everything that I do.
And everything that you do with enthusiasm, which I adore about you. But where did you come to that epiphany about how important positivity is in life and in business?
Well, I never thought that it was important at all. I used to be an Ivy League curmudgeon who thought that the only thing that really mattered was rational thought and doing things the hard way. And then I learned that when you absolutely relax and learn how to respond to circumstances by working with them to create more favorable opportunities, that's what positive thinking is about. It's not about pretending the circumstances don't exist. It's about finding a way. It's about figuring out. It's about resourcefulness. Then I really came to adopt this in my life, and it changed pretty much everything. You know, the rest is history. And now I teach it to everybody else.
Well, speaking of teaching, are you working with the University of Texas now that you're in Austin?
Yeah, but I don't really know where that stands because, as you know, COVID has struck. So we're still waiting to hear for my guest lecture position's dimensions. So keep your fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, I know you've done a lot of work with people, though, with COVID this year. Tell us a little bit about how you've transferred your enthusiasm and inspiration into executives and people with the working challenges with COVID.
I'd love to. The biggest thing that's happened is I think COVID has been the big equalizer. So before, when I spoke to executives or in corporate settings, I always cleaned up the act, as in I made it corporate friendly. And after COVID, I decided, screw that. These are human beings, and we are all going through the same stuff together. So I adapted all of my keynotes and workshops and work to addressing real stress, real life issues with real life stories. And it's been extremely well received. I understand that makes me less, I don't want to talk so much about the topics of the day, like diversity and inclusion, even though I'm a huge believer. But I really want to talk to people about your life and how you are affected right now and what you can do in the face of such extreme anxiety and uncertainty.
And you said the response for that has been really great. Did you receive any opposition to kind of switching that vernacular from more of a corporate perspective to a more personal perspective?
No, not at all. I mean, I've definitely been seeing some tough situations, Tracy, because as people become anxious, so do companies. That's normal. But the response has been tremendous because this is what people need now. They need hope, they need inspiration, and they need tools. And so that's where we've gone with this. And it's been great for the business, but also been very gratifying for me personally to see a personal effect.
Well, and in terms of your own personal situation, I mean, your entire personal life has been changed during COVID. Your marriage ceremony itself, and your family coming for your wedding, and then now your big move. So you've experienced a lot of upheaval on your own this year.
It's true, but who hasn't? That's the thing about 2020. That's why I call it the great equalizer. I do not know a single person who doesn't have at least one horror story about this year. So here we are. We're all in this together. What do we do about it? And I think it's a time for unity and for hope and for inspiration. And I don't really think that those are just woo-woo words. They're really important right now.
What's a woo-woo
Yeah, I
word?
love what you said about it. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
I just said, what's a woo-woo word?
You know, in many cases when you speak, by the way, about empathy, Brian, or about self-love or self-acceptance in a corporate environment, this is, believe it or not, this is not particularly well received in many instances. So I'm really happy that today we can use words like this. We can actually say the words empathy and loneliness and shame.
Yeah, it's in effect a more conscious leadership approach versus just a bottom line approach.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break. You're listening to KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM. Ask Brien Show. We'll be right back.
You see so much when you look at your child. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. Curiosity that develops into exploring unique passions. A little leader growing every day to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make their mark on the world. At SCVI, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free K-12 charter school gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a customized learning program built around each individual student. As iLead's founding school, SCVI combines an immersive approach to traditional subject learning with extracurricular activities including STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. SCVI has the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, with a 10-year proven track record of graduates excelling at top universities. And we're in your backyard, just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley in Castaic. For enrollment information or to learn more about our program, including homeschool options, visit iLeadSantaClarita.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
Discover the memory care your loved one deserves at Oakmont of Valencia, Oakmont's brand new luxury senior living community in Santa Clarita. Oakmont's innovative memory care program features stimulating and engaging activities in a soothing environment, as well as compassionate professional care delivered in the privacy of residents' apartment homes. With 2 gorgeous outdoor courtyards as well as an on-site movie theater, residents will enjoy a life full of vitality, dignity, and purpose. For more information, visit oakmontofvalencia.com.
Join us this fall for online fun with the Canyon Theater Guild online youth workshops. Super fun classes with acting, singing, dancing, audition tips, script writing, scene study, improv, and putting on real shows created for online performance. Get creative, meet new friends, and most of all, have a blast from the comfort of your own home. Call 661-799-2702 or ctgworkshops@gmail.com or canyontheater.org.
The coronavirus has put us in a position of creating a new normal. Family Law at Home understands. Their goal is to meet you in the safest place possible, and these days that might be in your own home in a virtual meeting. Family Law at Home will provide you with immediate advice on your family law matters, such as divorce cases, child custody disputes, and domestic violence. It's as easy as going to FamilyLawAtHome.com. You'll choose your own consultation date and be in immediate contact with one of their esteemed attorneys. Family Law at Home handles the legal aspect while you and your family navigate the new chapter in your lives. Go to FamilyLawAtHome.com.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the Law Office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the Law Office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Goldhurst, Head of Operations for Burger King North America. Throughout this time, we've taken steps to take care of our guests.
And since we know many of your jobs have been affected by this crisis,
we want to help make sure you're taken care of too.
If you are looking for work, we are hiring.
And there's a spot on our team for you.
We know that we'll get through this together, as long as we keep taking care of each other.
For more information, call 253-3283. That's 253-3283.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien Radio Show at KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM. Traci! See? DeForge. I had to sneak that in. The engineer was sleeping. He'll be getting that.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you for sleeping and turning that volume down. I appreciate that.
He'll be getting that wake-up call pretty soon now.
Okay, so enough of the silliness. Keren, I want to pivot to small businesses. A lot of our listeners on the show are entrepreneurs, small businesses, and as we've talked through some of the challenges that we've all faced personally and professionally with COVID, my heart goes out to the small business owner who has really had to struggle in ways they may have never expected this year. And I want to talk a little bit about fear, because I know that one of the principles that you coach on in such an excellent way is coping with fear. So could you tell us some principles that small business owners could apply right now when they're just feeling so overwhelmed and angst with fear?
Of course. I'm a small business owner myself. I know what this is like. That's empathy. Empathy is to know, not only to feel the underlying feelings, but to know the underlying feelings that another person is going through. And we are so in this together. An enormous portion of the U.S. has been impacted. But I also want to say, and I know this as a small business owner, that we are a tough and resilient lot. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. So the best way to do this is, if you do have to feel your feelings, feel your feelings. There's no problem with that. We all have to take a break. These thoughts come to us all. But when you're ready to rise, to really rise, the beginning of the rise will be in the realization that even when things are tough or are tough, you know that it's a choice. You know that you're making a choice to bet on your business. You know that you're making a choice to bet on yourself. Anyone who's playing to win is in the arena, as Brene Brown would say. And when you understand that, you know that you don't get to stop unless you have really extenuating circumstances. Just because you've fallen behind doesn't particularly mean you must become discouraged and stop. It's worth it. You're worth it. And hopefully you can get back on track, get ahead of the game, and take it back to either your original goal or have the resilience, the wherewithal, and hopefully enough relaxation in your heart to pivot and still make something enormous of that marvelous, unique business of yours.
Well, and then in addition to that, I was curious if you had any pointers or something that you could share with those who have had to pivot to working from home, running their business, and schooling their kids. Like, there's just a lot that's going on with people's emotional and mental states in conjunction with just trying to operate a business and run a business, because we all know that in itself is a big hurdle. Completely.
And again, I'm going to start with a message that might be a bit tiresome to people, but it really, really is important to start with. Be easy on yourself. This is not this is a very special circumstance, and the only consolation I have to offer is it's probably not going to last forever. We don't know when it's going to end, but it's very likely that in our lifetime we are going to see a shift back to normalcy. So that's great. In the meantime, what I can also recommend is to be as structured as possible with your time. That's right, I'm suggesting discipline. I mean, start your day with a to-do list. I mean, do your very, very best to, when you do have to stay focused, work in a designated area that feels like work, so at least it feels like you're somewhere near normalcy. Try to instate boundaries within your family to the extent to which you can. I'm working right now. These are my work hours, and this is my workspace. And I also add to it some basic rituals. For example, I'm not coaching in my bathrobe. I get up, and I get dressed, and I show up at my desk like I'm going to the office. Sure, it's not the same thing, but I think that the sweatpants thing is also exacerbating our condition. And hopefully those very, very small basics will send you into a mental state that is more proactive.
And then I also liked what you were saying. I don't think these were your exact words, but what I was hearing you say is that, and give yourself some grace, because what we may have been able to accomplish in typical circumstances may not be exactly what we can accomplish now, but that doesn't mean we have to go into a negative self-talk or a self-sabotage mode, right?
Exactly. That's what I meant by ease, and I prefer the word grace. It's an even more beautiful word. We have to be a lot nicer to ourselves, and the biggest problem, I don't think, is that we are overwhelmed and suffering. I think the biggest problem is that we're beating ourselves up for being overwhelmed. So if maybe we take that extenuating self-flagellation out of the equation, we might have an easier time around here. We deserve to deal with this. It's not easy.
And what has probably been one of your biggest revelations in terms of, outside of, giving ourselves grace and being structured, what do you think is one of the biggest ahas that you'll take away from this chapter as things start to normalize again?
Well, it's something that I've been thinking about before, and that is nobody needs to be in an office anymore. There's no real place for place. Now, I actually think that there's a wonderful reason for being together, and that's human connection, emotion, context. But gone is the argument that you have to be in your office every single day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I think that that's been a very big eye-opener for me, that the rules have changed. And I do wonder what will come next as a result of that.
But in your case, though, you've been working independently for a while, right? So that's not necessarily going to affect you per se, but it could really impact the way you do business with corporations.
It does. But, I mean, my business, not only has it not changed, it's grown enormously during COVID. So I'm in a different situation, Tracy. What I'm trying to say is the principles I teach that I have taught for quite some time. Be easy on yourself. Relax. Enough with this dogmatic, zealot approach to command and control business running. Rather, treat people like human beings. COVID sort of made the point for me, and especially with regards to we have to do work during work hours in an office. Well, obviously that's no longer true. So now what else can we challenge, and how can we make this really work for an entire generation that's moving forward?
Well, I got to tell you, I hope my old sales manager from the radio days isn't listening to this, but I used to have this manager, and she would be like, you got to be out of the office by 10, and you can't come back till 4. Well, I was a pretty good salesperson, so I had most of my work done by 11. So guess what I did? I just hung out the rest of the day and played with my friends.
Yeah.
So that kind of management style, it's not, of course, this was the early 90s because I'm dating myself, but regardless, that kind of management style, it just doesn't work for people anymore because people, to your point, we want to be treated like human beings, and we were more productive when we have freedom and flexibility to perform at times that work best for us.
That's exactly right.
How do you create enthusiasm?
And that's what graces it out.
Sorry about that. How do you create enthusiasm? You say that that's one of the big things, and you need it's enthusiasm beats perseverance. So my question is, how do you create that enthusiasm? I mean, yes, if you love something, that's the easiest way. You have that passion. Not everybody is in that situation and can switch around from where they're at. How do they get enthusiastic on a daily basis? What do you do?
That's a wonderful, wonderful question, Brian. And in reflecting upon it, I always thought that you have to reach enthusiasm by revving yourself up, by motivating yourself. And today I believe the exact opposite. Real enthusiasm, real joy in life, real satisfaction in life is actually attained through ease, through relaxation, and through gratitude, through real systems of enjoying the now and presence and counting your blessings. And that's where you have real sustainable systems of happiness. And what you can experience then is enthusiasm, because what will happen is that's where you get your good ideas from. You're relaxed. Like Einstein used to say that he got his best ideas in the shower. He was relaxed. He was having a nice shower. And that's what enthusiasm is really about. So I think when people think about it as this intense, bouncy, waking up eager and jumping at the day, well, I don't know. Maybe in the 90s that was a thing. today, I think it's about waking up and being mindful and savoring each moment and thanking the universe for all of your blessings, and that will have you in a state of greater enthusiasm, even if some days it's just hopeful or relaxed, but greater enthusiasm than the latter.
Have you ever experienced a day when you weren't enthusiastic, and what did you do to change it around?
There are many days when I'm not enthusiastic. I don't know if you watch the news, but sometimes that'll mess up my mood real good. And the best thing,
that's why I don't watch it. I just don't watch it as a result.
The best thing I could say for that is do something that calms you down. In my case, I can go to napping or meditation, but for some people that's a stretch. In that case, I also recommend watching some real good television that relaxes you, like the British Baking Show or Friends.
Or in my case, I've been addicted to Hallmark movies lately, and I feel just almost a tiny bit silly, but not really saying that. But it is the best positive escape because everything in a Hallmark movie turns out okay at the end. So
I
that's
love
what
it.
I've been doing.
I completely agree. You know, Brene Brown, who many people have heard of, is a great master teacher, and she talks about using TV to numb, and I disagree respectfully. I believe that using TV like this is about self-soothing. Like when you're a small child and you relax yourself when you're crying. I think that it's a wonderful tool to use. If you're not enthusiastic, let it go. Don't push it. Try to relax and come back at the problem or the challenge or your day when you're feeling a little bit better.
I think you should watch the Ask Brien Show in the beginning with Rocky and with the Screamer, because I think that will really get you going.
Actually, playing the song that you use in this show will rev anybody up.
Exactly. I created enthusiasm.
That's true.
You are living with enthusiasm, Brian. You are the epitome of living with enthusiasm.
He really is.
Just try not to curb your enthusiasm.
Whoa, Mr. Larry David. Mr. Larry David.
That was, man. Well, so let's just, I don't know how much time we have till the next break because
about another minute.
Thanks to remote technology.
1 minute.
Not in the studio right now. But let's talk gratitude really quickly. How important is gratitude?
The most important thing you can cultivate. You will experience more joy and far more compassion and real joy, whole joy that exists even in tough moments. There's nothing more important than practicing gratitude, and it's such an easy thing to do. It's like a muscle. If you just sit down and write 3 things that you're grateful for every day consistently, over time you will start to focus more on what you're grateful for than the opposite. And that's it. That's all there is to it.
We have about 25 seconds left, so what is the best attribute somebody can have besides enthusiasm? And you've got 20 seconds.
I mentioned it in the part about the Army, and that is humility. And by humility, I don't mean not bragging on yourself. I love it when people know their leverage. What I mean by humility is to know that you don't know everything.
That's interesting because I have a friend of mine who's an engineer, and he says engineers know everything. So I guess maybe being an engineer isn't the best.
I wonder who he's referring to.
KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM. Ask Brien Show. We'll be right back.
If you need help at home or at the office, call Made For You. Made For You is a locally owned, bonded, and licensed cleaning service with over 20 years of experience. All employees are vetted for your protection. No need to buy products or equipment. The Made For You staff comes complete with everything needed to make your home or office cleaner than ever. Hire Made For You one time, as needed, or an ongoing basis. No room is off limits. Laundry and ironing services are also available. Call Made For You for a free estimate. 255-2922. That's 255-2922.
This is Jill from the Santa Clarita Grocery, the all-volunteer grocery program serving children, families, and individuals experiencing food insecurities. Since January 2020, Santa Clarita Grocery has distributed 83 tons of fresh groceries to our 4,655 families in the SCV community. Santa Clarita Grocery is a drive-up, drive-through service with physical distancing in place to continue serving our community. If you are in need or looking for a charity to do the most good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery, one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. A full 99 cents out of every dollar goes directly back to the community. Santa Clarita Grocery operates on a 1% overhead and is sustained through private donations. Santa Clarita Grocery is at 21176 Center Point Parkway in the Oasis Furniture parking lot. Please visit our website at santaclaritagrocery.org or our Facebook at Santa Clarita Grocery to make a difference in our awesome town community. 425-7575. Be our guest and experience the difference.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the law office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the law office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty, and I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
Owning Corporation, Equal Housing Lender, licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, NMLS 1797976. Call 833-852-6464 for terms and conditions.
Hey, Gary, anything new with you?
Bud, can you believe it? I just crushed my mortgage payment again with owning. But this is the last refi for me.
Why?
Because I got a 30-year fixed rate at 2.375%, 2.474 APR. Can you believe that?
Get your last mortgage refi from Owning. Just call 855-5-OWNING or go to owning.com and ask for your last refi at today's 30-year fixed 2.375%, 2.474 APR. That's 30-year fixed at 2.375%, 2.474 APR.
Why not get your last refi from Owning? You just got to call 855-5-OWNING or go to owning.com. That's 855-5-OWNING or go to owning.com.
Just call 855-5-OWNING or go to owning.com.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien Radio Show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM with my co-host Traci DeForge and my guest Keren Eldad. I don't know what the engineer is doing. He thinks he's playing a game with the volume or something. Keren, you're on.
Got you.
Gotcha.
Oh, Lord. I'm going to have hearing aids after hosting this show. So, Keren, you mentioned your background in marketing, and I know that those principles have really helped you grow your business. But as I happen to have some insight on the fact that you have recently added podcasting as a marketing tool for your business, how is that working for you?
Oh, it's my absolute favorite thing in the world, the Coach Podcast, which I am so happy to collaborate with you on. The best of the best is my own call-in podcast that I modeled after my favorite TV show, Frasier.
Wow.
And that's one of my favorite stories when people ask me about your show, because your show, I know we produce it, but it is such a great show with this simulated call-in. And I always say that you want to be Frasier, and I think you will be soon one day.
I really hope to be Frasier one day. That would be the ultimate level of success for me.
I'll be calling in next week.
Well, hey, you can do that, because then she will give you great advice. She will give you such great advice. So tell us, just tell us in terms of when you decided to start your podcast, how did you envision that being to support your business as a marketing tool?
I thought about it just last year, and I really wanted to reach a much broader audience who perhaps were not able to work with me one-on-one because executive coaching is generally quite expensive. So the podcast has allowed me to reach thousands of other people and really give them real-time, real-life advice, which also helps to promote my virtual products, my downloadables, and online programs that are available on my website. And in that sense, the podcast has been amazing. I don't even remember, but I think you said like it's in 26 countries and a whole bunch of people have been downloading each episode, and it helps a lot to really sell, and also to sell programs in general, because you can always say, for a snippet or for a preview, listen to this episode.
Yes, and it also landed you on some pretty high-profile podcasts yourself, like Gene Chotsky's show, right?
Yeah, I've been on a lot of really great podcasts because of it, so that's a wonderful additional bonus. I can't say enough good things about it, but in general, I also believe very much in good content, and I think if everybody out there believes they have an important message, something to really say, a different take, like you and Brian and Patrick, it's a great time to be able to do that so easily.
What's your website?
Well, and it does.
My website is KerenEldad.com. That's KerenEldad.com. And the podcast is linked in the website.
And you can find it on Spotify and all the platforms that you listen to.
That's right.
So you're everywhere, and it's great. And it really does. I love your show because you're so real on it, and you do just give really candid feedback and advice. And we just all need that right now. So thank you for putting all of your enthusiasm out into the world.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, and I really appreciate the shout-out.
We have about 30 seconds left. So the last question was, you came from New York to Texas, and what's the biggest difference?
The amount of barbecue that people eat here. Texas is Texas. It's a real thing, and you should see how many barbecue joints there are around where I live.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, my God. You know what they say? Don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with Karen.
Thank you very much for listening to the Ask Brien Radio Show, KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM. See you next week.